Hey guys, this is Asad here, and this is my review of the Galaxy S6. Now, Samsung has always had made really good phones in the past. They've had the ups and downs and the pros and cons, and this is the sixth version of it. So this is my review of the Galaxy S6. So let's not waste any time and get into the review. Now, to start off, I always start off with the design. So the design is one of the biggest changes that's come with the Galaxy S6. Now you can see that it's an all metal, all glass design. The back is completely covered in Gorilla Glass 3. It's completely glass, it's clear glossy, and the sides are now completely metal as well. So we've got metal all around the whole body of the phone, and it makes a huge improvement for the way the phone feels in the hand. No longer do Galaxy phones feel kind of cheap and tacky and plasticky, and they've gotten rid of a lot of the glossy plastic. Unfortunately, because the back is glass, it does attract fingerprints quite easily, although thankfully they are easy to get rid of and easy to wipe off, so that's not a huge problem for me. The bigger problem that I've experienced with the Galaxy S6 is that because it does have a smooth metal sides and a completely glass back and front, it does slip around out of pockets and off tables very, very easily. I would say this is probably the slipperiest phone that I've ever used, just because if I place this phone on a table with any kind of angle, it will slide literally straight off. It's slid out of my pockets quite a few times. I would definitely recommend investing in a case or at least a skin just to cover the back and make it a little less slippery. But apart from that, I'm actually really liking the design of it. It is a lot thinner than it used to be in Galaxy phones. It does have a protruded camera. You can see all around that you've got the traditional Samsung buttons around the front. You've got the front-facing camera. You got the buttons and the volume buttons on one side, and the glass back. It's a non-removable back now as well, so you can't open it, and there is no removable battery and no expandable storage. It isn't a big problem for me because this is the 32GB phone, and I don't really go above that, and I don't tend to store a lot of media on my phone. And battery life, I don't have a removable battery. I don't really invest in removable batteries, so again, it's not a huge deal for me. I can live with it. But I do know people that it can be a deal breaker if you don't have expandable storage or removable batteries. Another con that I'd like to mention is the fact that the volume buttons are actually slightly too high for my liking. The power button's actually perfect, it's a perfect position, but a lot of times the volume buttons are a bit too high. I wish they were a bit lower so I just wouldn't have to reach around the phone too much. But that's really a small problem. I wouldn't really worry too much about it. I've gotten used to the fact that I have to shuffle a little bit to do it. But anyway, guys, this has been a great design change. I'm really liking the design of the Galaxy. So it feels really premium. It feels like a very expensive phone, as it should be, and it feels great in the hand. I really have, apart from the slipperiness, I really don't have a lot of problems with the Galaxy S6, personally. Now, something that Samsung has always done really well is the display. It is a 5.1-inch Quad HD display. It's an AMOLED display, and I would say this is the best display on any phone right now. I would say that really easily because not only does it have incredible colors, it has really good viewing angles, it's really bright, it's incredible outside as well. It gets ridiculously bright outside, and it just makes me want to use the display and want to look at the screen more just because of how beautiful it is and how sharp it is and how bright it gets. It really has been an incredible display, and I would say this is probably one of the best features and the highlights of this phone. And consuming media and watching videos and movie and playing games has been an absolute joy on this display. I really have no problems with the display. The only problem I could say with this display is that they did decide to include a rear firing speaker, and it's a really tiny speaker. It's really easy to cover up, which is my biggest possible gripe with this phone, is because it's just so easy to cover up, and it's really tiny as well, so it just any kind of a slight finger will block the sound and muddle the audio. And I think it kind of really does the display a disservice because it's just such a great display, and I kind of wanted a good speaker system and sound system to go with it, just so it could be perfect for watching videos. Now the software on the Galaxy S6 has been vastly improved. Now Samsung have really cut down TouchWiz to removing a lot of the bloatware and all the excessive information and stuff that slows down the phone, and the end result is a really fast phone, like extremely fast. I've had no problems using this phone for 2 weeks that I've been using it. It's been extremely fast. It's never stuttered or lagged. It's just been an absolute breeze to use, and that has to do, I think, a lot with the software optimization. It's very well optimized. And it also has a very powerful chip inside. It has the Samsung octa-core chip inside, the Exynos 7420, paired with 3 gigabytes of RAM. So this phone is extremely fast. It's top of the line. And I've just had no problems using this at all as my daily driver, and it's never once stuttered on me. It's been actually faster than my Nexus 6 that I've been using for the whole year, and that had stock Android on it. It also had 3 gigabytes of RAM. It also had a very powerful chip inside it, and it just really goes to show that how far Samsung has come in that it works extremely quickly and extremely fast, and there's never any hiccups at all. There's just been consistent, smooth. And it just really goes to show that I've loved using this phone, and I wish I could use it more and more all the time, because I absolutely love how fast it is, how smooth it operates. It's just extremely quick and extremely pleasing to use. Now, probably my highlight feature on this phone has to be the camera on the phone. Now, a lot of the reason I like this camera so much is because I think the camera experience is very good. Not only is it great at taking pictures and videos, but it also is really fast and really easy to use. Now, the easiest way and my most favorite way of opening up the camera is actually by double tapping the home button. So even when the screen is off, you can double tap the home button and the camera instantly opens up, no matter when you're using it. And it's extremely nice and pleasant to use. You have the normal camera button here, and you also have the video camera. I actually do like having them there instead of having to swipe in and then change the modes between the cameras. It's a very simple interface. It's just tap to focus. You can swipe up and down to change the exposure, tap to focus, and you could also have, if you like, a pro mode as well, which allows you to basically have a bunch more control. So you can choose the focus, you can choose the white balance, you can choose the ISO, the exposure, a lot of different things you can choose. And you can really choose how you really want on this phone. You could choose metering as well, and you could apply effects. So it's a really great phone for, I think, pretty much everybody, the pro photographer user and the regular user who just wants to take a quick photo. Now, it also has a bunch of different modes, so the selective focus, panorama, all these other things, and you can actually download extra modes. So if you like particular modes in here, so yeah, if you want to have an animated GIF, you can have that. It's just a bunch of different things, and I hope Samsung keeps adding this on, because it is actually quite a nice feature, and I do like that. And it really goes to show that they are really concerned about the camera. And you also have a very good a wide angle camera. It's a 16 megapixel camera, and it's generally been extremely good in almost every situation. From good lighting to medium lighting, the photos always come out really sharp, really colorful, really crisp. There tends to be, in low lighting, it does tend to go down, and it does tend to creep in a bit of noise and some image softening going on. But generally, I have to say, this is one of the best cameras I have ever used, and it's one of the best experience cameras that I've ever used. Now, it's not perfect in the sense that I do wish that dynamic range would be a bit higher sometimes. Even with HDR on, it sometimes kind of lacks a bit of dynamic range, and sometimes it doesn't freeze stuff well and you get a bit of motion blur in your photos. But don't let this end on a high note. This is easily one of the best cameras out there right now. And the video quality has really surprised me as well. It's an excellent video camera as well. It takes 4K video with optical image stabilization, so that it's always really clean, really crisp. Again, it's an excellent all-around camera to use. The 5 megapixel selfie camera on the phone is also excellent. It takes some really good selfies in anything but the low light. It's generally an all-round great camera experience from this phone, and I would definitely say this is one of the highlight features of the Galaxy S6. Now, going on to talk about the battery life of this phone. it's been quite a bit of a mixed result with the battery life of the phone. I'm typically getting between around 2.5 to 3.5 hours of screen on time. It will usually last me, I'd say, until I come back home. So I will start my day around about 9, 10 in the morning and finish work at about 11 p.m. at night. So in that time, the phone will probably need to die around 8 p.m. That's really when the battery gets really low and kind of becomes difficult to use. But the good thing is it does have a Qualcomm Quick Charge 2.0. So if you put this on a charger for 15, 20, 30 minutes, you will get a big chunk of your battery back. So that is the thing that's been kept me going, despite it not lasting me as long as I would like. I would definitely say for the average user, it will last around about a day. But this is definitely isn't the greatest battery life. It's not the worst I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of batteries. I've seen phones that have a lot worse battery life. So this is definitely okay. It gets me around about 3.5 hours of screen on time. It does vary quite a bit during the depending on the day. Some days I'll get maybe 2.5, and then some days I'll get 3.5, which will be great battery life. But it is a bit of a mixed bag. It does vary a bit, and I've had trouble making it last the whole day because it has such a small battery, and it doesn't really last as long as I want. And this is probably mainly due to the fact that Samsung tried to make it thinner, lighter. They had to shrink the battery down, and the fact that this phone has such a high resolution screen and it's very bright, so it will drain battery quite easily. Now, thankfully, it hasn't mattered to me too much because, again, like I said, I do use the Quick Charging 2.0. So if I come home in the evenings, so if I can just put it on for 20, 30 minutes, I'll be able to get a good chunk of my battery back. Now, Samsung has also decided to include a theme engine in the Galaxy S6. So if you do not like the look of the TouchWiz on the Samsung Galaxy S6, you can change it up to quite a different things. Now, the one that I personally like, and I think a lot of people who are into stock Android will like, is the material design theme. And what that does is basically change the whole theme of the icons, the looks, and the menus to make it look a lot more like stock Android. So you can see right here, it's a much more stock Android looking. It's got the material design theme. When you pull down the drop-down menu, you can see it's got that sort of material gray design on it. And if I go into the settings, you can see that the settings look a lot like stock Android now. It's much cleaner and nicer. And so that's one of the great things I like about the Galaxy S6 is that it does have a theme engine built in. I do stick to the default theme just because I don't really like to fiddle around with my phones too much. I don't care too much about the aesthetics. But again, this is great if you do like tinkering with your phone and you do not like the look of stock Android and you do want to change it. Now, one of the things that Samsung has included is this briefing page on the leftmost home screen, and personally I'm not really a big fan of it. It's kind of not very practical. I've never really felt the need to use it. It still lags a little bit when trying to use it, and it's just not great. I don't understand why they keep including this. I'd rather just get rid of it, or at least improve it, make it a bit more useful, like blink feed on the HTC one. But I just don't like it, and I think it's one of those gimmicky features I think they could have gotten rid of. And you can easily disable it just by swiping out and then ticking the checkbox. Now, Samsung this year also decided to include a fingerprint scanner, just like the Galaxy S5, but this fingerprint scanner is much improved compared to the Galaxy S5. You no longer need a swipe to unlock the phone, so it's just much like iPhones with Touch ID. You can simply just click on the home button and then it will unlock by itself. Personally, it does work really well. I would say it works maybe 7 out of 10 times. It's not quite as accurate as I would like it to be. I find that the iPhones are a lot more accurate, and they do get a lot more times. And especially when you orientate the phone a bit in a sort of slightly weird way, it does work a lot less. I find that if you make it in a sort of odd orientation, it won't always work. And you kind of have to double press it. So I ended up disabling it because I didn't find it accurate enough to make it convenient. But if you are into fingerprints and you are into NFC payments and you do use a lot of mobile payments, this will be great because it does make it much easier to just do it. And again, you can see that it does take a few tries if you don't have it in the sort of like the one-handed orientation. If you try to change the position a bit, it does work a little bit, doesn't work as well, I found. Anyway guys, that's been it for my review of the Galaxy S6. Please don't forget to comment, rate and subscribe, and do give this video a thumbs up. I do appreciate it, and it does help the channel. Please do stay tuned. I've got plenty more videos in the works, and I will have many more coming very soon, so do stay tuned for that. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.